right, welcome to the Start Hunting Now webinar. Our goal here is to provide you with a lot of really actionable items to help you start your hunting journey. So it's not going to be learning and writing things down, so to speak. There will be that, but we want you to leave with a bunch of actionable items and things that you can actually start doing to make it happen.
And thank you so much for being here. And I really appreciate you taking this time out of your day to join us.
Awesome. My name's Chris.
I'm Melissa.
And we're the founders of the Wild Meat Retreat, which is an awesome event we'll tell you about later at the end of the webinar. But just to get started, we really want to share a little bit about our story and where we came from, how we started hunting, and what it's done for us in our lives, which has been a lot. I mean, it's really just been this incredible blessing that's provided so much value and meaning in so many different ways.
Yeah, I mean, it is really, it's such a vision that I had for us and our family culture to be so connected to what we're eating. And that started with a journey of health and nutrition, just getting on that journey of wanting the highest quality food possible to put in my family's body, my body, loved ones. And that's when it was like, okay, I've done all the things, the organic, the grass-fed, grass-finished, and now it's time to take it to that next level and get wild game. And so that's where this all started for me, was just really with health and nutrition, wanting the best food. And then so many also like amazing benefits come along with it. Connection to nature and just getting your hands in there, the connection to the food and eating the food and connection to the other people around. And really the connection for me is a big part. Everyone has their piece that is just so fulfilling for them. And yeah, so my journey really started with health and nutrition and then getting into the wild.
Awesome. Yeah, mine really similar. Came from a background of wanting to be as healthy as possible, really enjoying food, getting into food, eating the highest quality food. Went on this journey that a lot of people go on, from first learning how important nutrition and food is, and learning about our current food system and how toxic a lot of the practices are, and eliminating a lot of things. So getting a lot of things out. And I became vegetarian, became vegan for a while. I really had a big cleanse, and then realized that I needed to start bringing some protein and some healthy meats back into my diet, which was a really big deal at the time. And that led me into hunting, because I first started to eat grass-fed meat and grass-fed butter. Yeah, exactly. Dairy items, the liquid meat, and eating cows and whatnot. But then I discovered that the best meat ever is wild game, because it's beyond organic. It's animals that are out in the wild. They're eating natural food. They haven't been domesticated. I just really love the idea of eating animals that are so wild and so kind of close to nature. Also came from a background of a lot of backpacking, hiking, sailing. I did windsurfing. I lived in Hawaii and surfed a lot. Like, always just loved nature. And when I started to research this idea of hunting, I said, holy cow, this one thing combines everything that I love to do. There's the food piece, there's the nutrition piece, getting really high quality meat. There's the adventure, the excitement, the ability to go on trips and explore new places and go to really rugged parts of the wilderness and terrain that you might never go to without having this mission to get there. The backpacking, the nature connection, like Melissa's saying, the idea of learning how to shoot bows and arrows and guns and target practice. And I was just like, holy cow, this is the coolest thing ever, because it combines every single thing that I love to do. All of my passions wrapped up in this one activity.
And it's the sovereign piece to go out there and be able to procure your own food and not rely on the grocery store. Yeah.
Like we talked about in that first email, what would you do if the grocery store closed down? Or what if you couldn't go out there and buy that little nice piece of steak and bring it home and cook it for your family? And don't get me wrong, we all came from that. I remember that. And I remember just being kind of like confused about, well, where did that thing come from? It's all nice and wrapped up in this pretty package, and I knew it came from an animal. but what was that process like? What was that animal's life like? And how did it get from, being this cow and this big creature broken down in these nice little cuts of meat that you can buy in the grocery store? So I really wanted to learn about that and what went into it. And like Melissa's saying, that sovereign aspect of being able to go out and participate and do all of that yourself is just such an incredible feeling of confidence,
empowerment.
And
yeah, I hear what you're saying. There's a bit of a disconnect when you see just this little piece of meat in the store. There's no connection to where it came from. And that's another big piece, is knowing where your food comes from. So
yeah, someone at one of our retreats said during the event, she said, oh gosh, I thought knowing my farmer was important, but holy cow, this is like the next level. We're actually like, we had this goat, we were cutting off pieces of meat, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our story. For me, getting into hunting, getting really passionate about it, but then realizing how difficult it is to actually make that happen, to go from this idea of something that sounds so amazing that you'd love to do and actually making it happen in the real world is it's a massive gap. And we touched on that in one of our emails too, that we meet a lot of people that say, when we talk about this idea of sustainability and where your food comes from and what would you do if the grocery store went down, and what do people say?
It's easy. I'm just going to go out and shoot a deer.
Yeah, we hear a version of that all the time. Oh yeah, I could hunt a deer, if I had to. But and we kind of laugh, because it's really hard.
Because once you get into it, yeah,
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do. And that's what I realized as I started my hunting journey was, holy cow, this is incredible, but it is really hard. I did not grow up hunting. I grew up in the suburbs and, strip malls and all that type of stuff in Florida. I had no friends that hunted. I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area when I was getting into this, and there was nobody around that hunted. And I really wanted that mentor. I wanted somebody to help guide me and show me, and people to go hunting with and learn the ropes from, but it just wasn't there.
And that's why we created this program and retreats around it.
Yeah. That's why we're doing this work and creating webinars like this, because we really want to provide that mentor and that person to help you along on the journey. Because I remember just how heartbreaking it was to not have that. I remember, short story, I learned that there was this guy in our little town in California that hunted. And it's the only person I'd heard of that hunted, of anyone in our circle. And I was so excited. And I went to this guy's store. He owned a hardware store. And I thought I had all these dreams of connecting with him and learning from him and asking him to mentor me. And I went in his office. I said, "Hey man, I hear that you hunt and I want to hunt." And he just kind of goes, "Oh, no, kid, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy." And I just was sunk. It was heartbreaking to not have that. So here we are. Let's jump right in. We want to get you guys going on your hunting journey. We're going to go through these core points to help you get started. And like I said, this is not going to be conceptual things. I want you to take notes, write this list down, and these are action points and they're action steps to go out and start doing, no matter who you are, no matter where you live or what level you're at with hunting now. If you've never done anything except watch this webinar, this is perfect. It's just for you.
Okay, awesome. Let's get started.
What's the first thing we want to talk about? Regulations?
Yeah. So the very first thing is, okay, so I want to start hunting. So what do? I go online and Google hunting regulations in my state.
Exactly.
Hunting regulations in Arizona and learn those first. Is that right?
That's correct. Okay. Yeah. So every single state has a different set of regulations and laws that govern the animals that you can hunt in your state. And yeah, you can go hunt in any state you want for the most part, but you have to buy a license there and it can get kind of expensive. You got to travel. So most people, unless you have an unlimited budget and unlimited time, will do most of their hunting in their home state. So that's the first place to start. Go on Google and just Google hunting regulations, Alabama, hunting regulations, California. And you might get a few people trying to sell you something on the first few ads. But if you look there, there'll be a government website for those regulations in your state.
Right. And we can't give you like an exact website because every
Right.
state has a different, that's why we're saying Google your state.
Right, exactly. When we lived in Montana, it was wildlife and parks. Here in Arizona, it's game and fish. Other places, it's fish and game.
Okay.
I think in Arizona, it's game and fish because we got a lot more game than we do fish. But anyway, there's different names. They're pretty similar all around the country. Google that and pick up a copy of the hunting regulations. They print new regulations every single year. Sometimes a few things change, sometimes a handful of things, but usually they're pretty same year to year, depending on how many tags there are for each type of animal. But get that booklet, and a lot of places it's a physical booklet that you can get from a dealer, like where it sells hunting tags. Yeah, Melissa will grab one from Arizona. Some states don't print booklets anymore, like California. You have to actually download it. You can print it yourself.
2023, 24.
Yeah, these are the fishing regulations,
well,
but that's okay. It looks a lot like this. It's usually a soft cover booklet. I love to have these booklets if the state actually prints them, because you can go through this and read it just like you would a normal book, put it on your coffee table. And when you have your coffee for every day for a couple of days, read through this and familiarize yourself with all the laws in your state. And I know it's not as glamorous or sexy as learning how to shoot the bow and arrow or buying some cool binoculars, but
it's the first step.
It really is the first step, because if you don't do that, you'll waste a lot of time maybe studying about how to hunt some animal that doesn't even live in your state.
Interesting. Yeah.
If you're in South Carolina and you spend a lot of time on elk hunting tactics, you probably aren't going to be able to hunt elk in that state. And
so see what you can hunt.
Yeah, see what you can hunt and see what the seasons are. That's really important. So get the regulations. That's step one, and read through the whole booklet. Like I said, not glamorous, not exciting, but it's really important to do.
Okay. So you learned all this. Now you need to learn how to shoot a gun, where to hunt, what to wear.
Yeah, all that.
What animal I'm going for.
Yeah. But before we jump into that, another not so exciting thing, but important, is to get your hunting license.
Okay.
Because you can't actually go hunting in any state without a hunting license. And every state's different, right? A lot of them are very similar, where you have to get a license. It's a certain amount of money. It's good for a whole year. Some states require you to have hunter education, which is nowadays it's almost completely online course that you take, and it teaches you all about different aspects of hunting, how to be safe with hunting, firearms safety, how to ethically shoot animals. It's an incredible education, and it's very cheap. I think
I liked it.
Yeah, Melissa did it a few years ago.
Survival skills and techniques and strategies. Yeah, it's
very valuable. So I guess it is kind of exciting. A lot of states require you to have that before you get a hunting license. So when you're reading through those regulations for your state, there'll be a whole section about licensing. How old you have to be to get a license, if you need hunter safety, how much it costs, all of that. And if your state requires you to have hunter safety, that's really important to get on first, because it might take you some time to take that course. I mean, how long was the course?
I mean, you could do it in a week. Mine was longer.
Yeah, it's self-paced. I recently did it in Arizona. I'd already done it in California many years ago, but I did it in Arizona because you can get an extra point when applying for tags. It's a little bit more advanced, but I buckled down and got that whole thing done in 2 days, So it's up to you. It might take you more time if you're a busy person, but go ahead and get started with your hunter safety. You can Google that too, hunter safety education course. And there's one website pops up, and you just select the state that you want to apply in. You get certified. They'll give you a little card. They'll just email it to you. And then you take that to get your hunting license at that same website where you learned all about the regulations.
Okay, so you get the book, you take your hunting safety course. Get your license. What's next?
Okay. Got all the boring stuff out of the way. But now you're legal. And it's really important to learn the laws, because if you screw up and do something illegally, even if you don't mean to, even if you're well-meaning and you have the best intentions, the laws there's a lot of them, and you got to make sure you understand them all so they don't get in trouble. Once you got all that stuff it gets a lot more fun. It gets more exciting. You get to start learning about animals, where you're going to find animals, where you're going to go hunting, what kind of weapon you're going to use. So if you're going to hunt with a bow or rifle, or bare hands, no, you can't do that. It gets a lot more exciting. We'll talk about some of that stuff now. So let's talk about what you're going to hunt. By studying those regulations, that will help you get an idea of what kind of animals you want to hunt. And a lot of people, when they get excited and when they start, they get really excited. They say, okay, I want to go out there and hunt elk, or I want to go hunt deer, or I want to hunt a moose and have like 1,200 pounds of meat. You know, it's going to last me for 3 years. And that's great. That's awesome. It really is cool getting a large animal that you've successfully harvested yourself and it fills your freezer. But what we recommend for people to do first is to start hunting small game. What's small game?
Rabbits, squirrel, not javelina, that's middle game.
Yeah, javelina is a big game animal in Arizona.
Okay. Quail.
Birds. Yeah, so every state has an opportunity to hunt some kind of small game, like Melissa's saying, whether that's rabbits or squirrels or all sorts of different types of birds. And while it might not provide a ton of meat, it's a decent amount of meat. Like people say, well, how much meat is possibly on a squirrel? Well, a couple squirrels is a good meal for somebody.
Good dinner.
And I know it might sound kind of weird, but it really is an incredible way to start hunting. And we encourage everybody to start hunting some kind of small game. And there's many reasons why. I've got a whole video on all the benefits of hunting small game. It gets you out there earlier. You can get you don't need a tag, right? For big game like deer or elk, you have to get a tag. And in some states that can take years. You might have to apply for a couple of years before you get one.
For some people.
Yeah, right. Depends on your budget, but yeah, the tags are more expensive. And your seasons can be shorter, so you might get a deer tag, and your specific area that you're hunting, it's only 1 week, and that's only 1 week that you're hunting. But for example, in Arizona, rabbits, you can hunt rabbits all year long here, every single day of the year. And cottontails, the bag limit, I think, is 5 rabbits every single day. I mean, you're probably not going to do that, but this shows you the opportunity there is to get out there and start doing it.
Gives you like a lot of experience and practice, confidence, empowerment, just to get it. The small game does all those things.
Right.
Really build your confidence.
All the skills that you use for hunting that you're going to use later for hunting elk or for hunting deer or bear or moose. All of those skills of stalking, of being present, of getting quiet, of listening, of using your senses, shooting your gun or shooting your bow and arrow. All of these, even animal processing, all of these skills you will use later to hunt larger animals. So it makes so much sense just to get started with smaller animals.
Okay.
That's our recommendation. So learn the small game that you can hunt in your area, in your state. Learn the seasons and mark them on your calendar so you know when you can legally go out there and do it. And that will get your foot in the door much quicker.
So I want to hunt a squirrel.
Okay, good choice.
So what gun do I use? What caliber? Is that right? That's the next step.
Yeah. So now you've got your license, you understand the laws, you know that you picked an animal that appeals to you. Like Melissa's excited about squirrel hunting. I would be too. Squirrel hunting is one of my favorite activities ever. So yeah, how are you going to hunt a squirrel? You've got to choose the weapon that you're going to use to hunt with. Now, a lot of people, when they first think about hunting, they come from a background of, maybe primitive skills or wanting to be connected to nature, and they want to use a very ancestral tool like a bow and arrow. And that's how I was when I first started thinking about hunting. Is I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get me some wood and a knife, and I'm going to make a bow, and I'm going to string it myself. I'm going to make some arrows and flint knap some cutting points, and I'm going to hunt this deer with my own bow. Well, I later learned that idea was completely romanticized. Like hunting itself is hard enough, and to hunt an animal with a bow and arrow, especially a traditional bow, kind of like.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, show and tell. This one doesn't have the string on it, but this is a traditional bow. You know, you just got a limb and then you got a string that you pull up. Real easy, pull it back and shoot it. Hunting an animal with this kind of tool can be done, but it's very hard. It's very hard to be accurate, and you've got to be extremely close. You got to be really, really close. I mean, like from here to the back of the wall there. I mean, like really close.
And not spook the animal.
And not exactly, which is really hard to do.
It might come later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you're starting this hunting journey and you're thinking about getting out there, go try and sneak up on a deer and see how close you can get to it. And you'll see how hard it is. So yes, I encourage everyone to do archery hunting because it can help open up a lot of opportunities. A lot of times getting a tag to hunt a deer with a rifle, like here in Arizona, it takes a lot longer. You might need more bonus points. You might have to apply more years. There are more people that want to do that type of hunt. But here you can get a tag every year to hunt deer with a bow, you know, without applying at all. So I encourage people to do that, to get those, get those archery skills started, but also start with a rifle.
And the main thing is just start practicing. Right. Target practice.
Exactly.
Is next.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You know your animal, you know your gun, now you start shooting.
Right. So, and Melissa wants to hunt a squirrel. So a .22 rifle, 22 is the caliber of the bullet that goes in the rifle. And every rifle is chambered for a different type of bullet. They're not really interchangeable. So you get a specific gun that works with a specific bullet. 22 caliber is a very small bullet, but they're extremely popular. It's the most popular rifle caliber in the world. Ammunition is very cheap. The gun has very little recoil. So, you know, it's not like,
it's easy.
It's more like,
yeah, not as loud.
Yeah, so it's really easy to shoot, really simple to shoot for beginners, great for small game. Can't really use it to hunt bigger animals. You'll need another rifle for that, but it'll get you in the game and it will get you shooting and get practicing, which what Melissa's saying is the most important part, is just to start practicing. Even if you're getting into this now, right? This is, what month are we in? Almost in February. Oh, I just dated us. That's okay. So even if you're starting now and it's the spring and you've got many months until squirrel season starts, start practicing now. So start practicing your target practice when you got plenty of time to do it. So when the season actually starts, you'll be ready.
Yeah.
Really important.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. That's one of my favorite parts too, is when you take me out for target practice.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal shooting guns, for me.
It is, yeah, it is for everybody. I mean, having a exploding fire in your face is not something we're naturally sort of adapted to do. So it takes some practice to get used to that. But all those skills that you learn shooting that smaller caliber .22 rifle will be all the skills you'll use for shooting a bigger caliber gun later when you start hunting bigger animals.
So what am I going to wear? I want to look really good out there. That's not important. I'm just kidding.
Good question. Yeah, well, it's a good thing to talk about because people really obsess about gear and stuff, And I think it's just part of our culture. We're used to buying a lot of stuff. We're in a consumerism type of environment all the time on the internet. I'm trying to sell you something. But in my experience, the stuff is way less important to start hunting than actually getting out there and looking for animals and shooting your weapon and all that. Most likely the stuff that you've got now, if you spend any time in the outdoors, will work. So if you've got clothes that you hike in, if you've got clothes that you can layer and keep warm and take off as you heat up, if you've got comfortable shoes that are good for wet conditions too, all that stuff will work fine for hunting. And it doesn't have to be camo. That might make a little bit of a difference in some situations and with some animals in really close quarters. But for the most part, just the normal old hiking stuff you got will work just fine.
Yeah, that's like we lived in Montana for a while, and a lot of the seasoned hunters just wore jeans and a flannel and nothing super fancy. Right.
And another reason why you want to start with small game, because it doesn't need a lot of specialized gear. you're probably not going to be on a 5-day backpacking trip and sub-zero conditions in North Dakota or whatever. In the beginning, sure, all that stuff's great later, but small game, you just go out there for the day. You just wear the stuff you got. It's super easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're keeping it like so simple, but there it can go more into depth if you are in a very cold climate and you need wool and layers and no moisture on the body. There's a lot to it, but you don't need to spend a lot in the beginning.
That's true.
Is what we're saying.
That's true. Yeah, don't go crazy and spend a lot, but take some time learning about, like Melissa's saying, your ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right. What are the conditions like where you live? If you live in Florida, you're going to need a lot different stuff to get out there than if you live in Montana.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, but yeah, and have natural fibers are really good, except for cotton. Wool is really nice because it keeps you warm. Even when you get wet. Cotton, the opposite. They say cotton kills.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah, you get rainstorm comes along, you get all wet in cotton, it'll actually draw heat out of your body and I mean, can result in hypothermia, which could kill you relatively quickly.
Right. So it can be a little more in depth, but this isn't a.
Yeah, we're not going to go too much.
We'll make a video about that.
Yeah. Next video about that. But yeah, just learn about how to stay safe outdoors in your area, and that's really all you need. Have a nice backpack you can wear. Nothing too fancy, but if you're small game hunting, it's nice to be able to have some water, some extra layers. A place to put your extra squirrels if you're successful.
Yeah, a little first aid kit. Outdoor nature things. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna know what I'm gonna wear, know what I'm gonna animal. Yeah. So I shoot the squirrel.
Ah.
Okay.
Wow, you've come along well.
Shot.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking about binoculars, but I think that's something else. Now I need a good knife. Because I'm gonna skin the squirrel.
Yep, knife is important.
Out in the field.
Knife is important, but the only thing that's really important is how sharp it is.
Okay.
Everyone asks, like, what's the best hunting knife? What's the best brand? But really, almost any knife, if it's really sharp, can process an animal. Maybe not like a big giant Bowie knife,
knife.
And maybe not like a little tiny keychain knife, but any kind of basic mid-sized knife will work as long as you keep it really, really sharp. So what we like to recommend is for everyone to have their own knife that they keep specifically for animal processing. It's not your knife that you're cutting open Amazon packages with and
it's like a specific...
spreading peanut butter and all that. It's just specifically for animal processing.
Do you have a knife on you?
Oh, I do.
And one time we got a roadkill and Chris processed the whole thing with that little tool that goes in your pocket. So
yeah, this is an awesome tool to have. We recommend a Leatherman. This is just it's not a hunting specific tool, but it's a good multi-tool. It's got pliers on it, screwdrivers, stuff to fix your gear, fix your guns and bows and all that kind of stuff when you're out there.
These are kind of sticky.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, these are knives that we give all the participants at our retreats.
Yeah.
See, it's kind of a mid-sized knife.
Everyone gets one and everyone gets in there and starts skinning and opening up, gutting the animal.
Right. Razor sharp. This is called a Scandinavian grind. It's probably getting a little too...
Okay.
But that's okay. You can see how the grind of the knife is really large. Makes it really easy to lay on a stone and sharpen. As compared to a knife like this is called a flat grind. This is probably what you're used to seeing. Much smaller grind on the edge of the knife, but it still works great. So having a Leatherman is a really good thing because you can keep the knife on your Leatherman really sharp for when you need it. Then you got a serrated knife for cutting open your boxes and utility tasks. And then you've also got a saw, which is really helpful to have when you're processing an animal and you're trying to cut through the rib cage or the pelvis. So like Melissa was saying, we love picking up roadkill too. Another weird thing, we eat squirrels and roadkill. But roadkill really is an excellent way to start because you can develop all the skills of animal processing without actually having to do the hunting and have tags and seasons and all that.
Good practice, free food.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to.
But yeah, so I was just saying that one time several times processed an entire deer, on the side of the road with just this one tool that I keep on my belt all the time. So once again, simplicity's sake, keep it simple. Just have one nice knife that you have for animal processing and keep it sharp, and don't use it for a bunch of other stuff.
And now, so if you don't come to the retreat, but this is where you're going to learn everything on how to process an animal. You watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos before you go out there and shoot the squirrel, so you know what to do. Is that right? Exactly.
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but if you don't have friends to show you, if you didn't grow up in a hunting area or have, family that does it, watch YouTube videos. I mean, that's how I started. I had a book. I had Steve Rinella, Meat Eater, How to Hunt Animals and Eat Them or whatever. I forget what it's called, but yeah, just a basic book on hunting. And he goes through how to process animals in there. And I read that book. I watched some YouTube videos. I started small game hunting. I was successful at hunting a few rabbits. I just did it. And
yeah, you got to just do it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So after the video,
it wasn't exactly the most elegant skinning and process I've ever done, but I got it done. Same thing. One of my first big epic hunting trips was bow hunting for wild goats on Kauai. And that was the first time that I had hunted a larger deer-sized animal. I had never done it on a bigger animal, but I knew that a small animal, all the stuff, all the guts, the skinning, the joints and how the joints work and how you break the joints to quarter the animal, it's all exactly the same. As the animals get bigger, they just get bigger.
Right.
And I know it sounds crazy, but it's really true.
Yeah, all the anatomy.
So, right, when I went to Kauai and I got my first goat, I was like, holy cow, there's a goat on the ground. I mean, I really processed that whole thing just with the skills that I had from small game and also from watching YouTube videos. I mean, you can do it. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's quite an interesting process taking that on by yourself, but it is possible.
Yeah, it's good to be prepared.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for you, to be prepared somewhat with the videos or a mentor or the retreat, whatever, just be kind of prepared.
Be ready. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Don't go out there and shoot something having no clue what to do with it. Yeah, have some familiarization. I mean, nowadays you can even download a YouTube video of processing a squirrel to your phone, take it with you in the field and watch it as you're doing it. The technology is incredible now. The other thing you can do to process animals is you can go get an animal from a farm. So if you want to practice processing a bird, like a chicken, you can go get a chicken from a local farmer or even raise chickens yourself. And that will give you a lot of education around processing animals without having to go hunting, so to speak. Same thing, you get a bigger animal too. Like when we do our retreats, we've got a few farms that we go to and we actually get a full live goat that we process at the retreat with everyone.
And you get to eat it.
Yeah, and we eat the whole thing.
Really good food.
Yeah, one of our line items is process and eat an entire goat.
Right. That's part of it. That's a big part of it. That's why we're doing this, for food.
Exactly.
So, all right, I think we covered all the steps. And then, I'm going to process it out there. And, well, I don't really quarter up a squirrel, but I'm going to put it in my bag.
Little legs.
Oh, you cut them off. Right. Chop just with scissors. Yeah. You cut them with scissors. Put it in my little Ziploc bag, put it in my backpack, go home and eat it.
That's it.
Okay.
Then Google how to cook a squirrel. And it's really that, we might be making it oversimplified, but it really can be that simple. And no matter who you are, like we were saying, what your background is, where you live, you can do this. You can make it happen. It's just taking these little steps. And yeah, it takes a while to actually get all this stuff done, to learn those hunting regulations in your state, to take your hunter safety course, to get your license, but then it's done. You go into the gun shop and you get your first .22 rifle and you go start learning how to shoot it. Yeah, these are all steps that take time, but they're super valuable. And before you know it, you'll actually be out there hunting.
Yeah, I think, and you're gonna get all the benefits of the nature. I noticed at our retreat when we have closing circles, so many people are just so grateful they were out there in nature. Like that part of the retreat, because we go on an actual hunt, was just so fulfilling for them. I noticed that.
Yeah, that's an important part of this is the nature connection. And this is just, I found, I'm a big nature fan. I love nature. I love the feeling I get when I'm out there, when I'm in the woods, when I'm away from society, away from all the noise, and I can just be with myself. And it just feels the best of like anywhere else on the planet to me. And hunting is the best way we found, hands down, to have that feeling of nature connection, to feel like you belong somewhere, to participate with the ecosystem, to engage at such an intimate level with the animals and the plants and your surroundings. I mean, it's incredible. And hunting, I've just found is the best way to do that.
Yeah, me too. It's such a quiet connection. During hunting, you have to actually be quiet and slow down and get into that consciousness of nature, which is really slow, and get out of the whole city, fast paced,
right?
So it's just, there's so many blessings that come along with hunting.
Yeah, it's so much more than just the meat and the food, and there's just the connection. There's so much, and that's why we wanted to do this. Is at the end of the day, we just wanted more people to experience this because it's such an incredible experience of adventure and connection. We think it's getting lost too. As more and more generations are born and aren't connected to these ways of going out and getting our own food from the landscape, it gets lost. And that's really sad, because this is, I think, just such an integral part of being human, of what we are.
It's really in our DNA. It's just a remembering. We know how to do it.
Yeah.
And also, just creating that family culture and normalizing dead animals. And, we eat, we hunt, we shoot guns to eat food, and we kill animals to eat food. We're teaching these things to our son, and he's running around with goat feet and deer feet, and it's like chasing kids with goat heads, but it's just normal for him, and he's not afraid of it, and it's a part of his culture. And that's the vision that I have. And what's your vision? What's your vision for your family, and what do you want to create? Okay.
Oh, the last piece I want to talk about before we share about the wild meat retreat a little bit is how to find animals. That was just one thing I think we didn't quite touch on, and that comes up for a lot of people is, where do I go hunting? How, okay, so I got my license, I learned my regulations, shooting my 22, I got a bow. Now where do I go? Where?
That's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. And if you live a lot of places, we're blessed in the US to have a tremendous amount of public lands, national forest, BLM land, different wildlife refuges that are actually available to the public. That's you and me, and everybody in the United States can go to these places to hunt and camp and hike. I mean, we've got millions of acres of it. So that's one of the first things to do if you don't have some private land that you can hunt on, which is great too. If you got a friend that owns a ranch and the deer are coming and tearing up their hay bales, and they would love somebody to come, hunt one of them, that's great. So pursue those possibilities as well. But for most people, hunting happens on public land. So learn the local public land in your area. Same thing, you can Google it. You can ask at the Fish and Game office where you got your hunting license, and learn those different spots that you can go to hunt and be out there.
And once you know the spot, start walking the spot.
Right.
Like as much as you can through each season, and learn it.
Yeah, that's Melissa's right. I remember in the beginning when I first started hunting, I was waiting for that mentor, waiting for someone to show me their hunting spot, they've been going to for 30, 40 years, and their grandfather went there, and it just never really happened, and I look back and I wasted a lot of time just waiting for someone to show up and show me what to do that never came. And I learned, and now I look back and I went, gosh, if I would have just started walking around, and that's what I do now. It sounds ridiculous. You go to some national forest and you got 10,000 acres of land. You just pick a trailhead, you put your boots on, you start walking.
And start scouting,
And
tracking.
yeah. Yeah, it's incredible what you find. If just being, like we said, in that place of presence and awareness and slowing down and using your senses, looking around, looking at tracks in the ground, looking at trees where deer have rubbed their antlers, actually seeing animals out there. You'll be amazed at how you start to put together clues that make sense. And you go, oh gosh, this makes sense. The deer, they must come over this little ridge here, and there's the river down there, and oh, there's the tracks. You're like, oh gosh, the deer, they come right through here. I mean, it's kind of common sense, and it's built into our DNA to observe these things in nature and make sense of them as hunters, because that's what we've done, for a million years.
Yeah, and it's kind of, the more you do it, I'm always tracking every hike. You get more and more used to it, and you just do it all the time naturally.
Yep. Exactly. So just get out there and do it. Don't wait for somebody to show you. Start learning a little bit about those species of animals you want to hunt, where they live, what they like to eat, what their cycle is, if they migrate or not, and just go out there and start looking around and take notes of what you discover. And you'll be amazed at how quickly you start to put things together.
Awesome.
Well, there you go. Those are our top tips for getting started with hunting. I hope you took some notes, and like I was saying, treat that like a checklist. Step number 1, get the hunting regulations in my state, read them, do it, go get your hunter safety course, sign up for it and do it. All these things are action items. Get your hunting license, go out and get your first gun or bow. They're all steps that'll get you there. And if you want to do it all super fast and go to the next level, come to the Wild Meat Retreat, which is our event that we put on right here in Arizona. And we call it a retreat, but it's really more like an adventure or an experience, because you're not just learning these things conceptually, you're actually doing them.
It's very hands-on. So Chris does a lot of the teaching, and he's like, gives a lot of autonomy and freedom, and says, like, here's the knife, here's what you do, now do it. So it's really like an awesome way to have a hands-on experience and really get confident and empowered and ready to know what to do when the animal's on the ground.
Right. Yeah. And that's a big one. What do you do? What if you are successful hunting? You got this 110-pound deer laying there. What do you do with that thing?
Yeah, and there's been a group of homesteaders that have wanted to come through, and it's maybe they're not hunting, but you really are good. There was one lady who's raising goats, and we process a goat, and so you can learn how to process a goat, and you just learn how to cook it and quarter, and there's so much involved, all comprehensive. We squeeze a lot into the 3 days.
Yeah, so all this stuff we talked about in this webinar, of course you can do it all on your own, and I hope you do get started no matter where you're at. But we go through all these things in a 3-day event. So we learn about regulations, we talk about how to apply for tags, we learn firearm safety, we actually go out there and shoot guns on the properties, so you'll walk away feeling confident that you know how to shoot a gun, how it works, how to do it safely. We shoot bows and arrows. We go get a live goat. We slaughter it together. So it's not like a dead one shows up on a truck. I mean, we do this whole thing together with tremendous consciousness, gratitude, and respect. So you know what that feels like to take an animal's life and how meaningful it is.
Yeah, it's very transformative. We all go to the farm, and a lot of people have never seen an animal die in front of them, and a lot can come up, and it's really an awesome opportunity to be a part of. Because you know what, you'll remember things like this forever too. The first time I saw a goat, I won't ever forget it. Yeah.
We bring that goat back, we process the whole thing together, so you're not just watching, you've actually, got your own knife, and you're getting in there and you're skinning it, you're cutting off the quarters, we're processing the meat into different cuts together, we're cooking the meat and eating it the whole time as a group with other like-minded people. We wrap it so you actually get to feel that experience of taking meat home from your harvest, which is just the best feeling in the world, to actually take this thing that's like so important in our survival that you harvest it with your own hands and you can go back and share with your family. We do all of that.
We bring out the grinder, we grind it into hamburger, package it all up.
Oh, and then we should talk about Clinton when we have a ceremony every time too. So this event is not for people who are looking to do some things in a disrespectful way, or don't really care about the animals, or don't care about the sustainability of things. We do it in a really conscious way, in a really traditional way that's steeped with gratitude and respect for the land, for the animals. We look at it like we're the stewards that go out onto the land and represent the human species. So we want to do it right, and we want to communicate with those animals in a meaningful way. So we have a ceremony with our friend that comes in who does this all the time. He's trained in traditional Lakota ways, and we do a ceremony that's awesome and prepares you to go out for that hunt the next day. Yeah, that's a really powerful part. We have a sauna behind us so we can cleanse and purify. You're welcome to use before your hunt, and just bringing in a lot of the traditional aspects, like you said. Almost forgotten. I was talking about the preparation. We're actually preparing to go on a hunt. Almost forgot that. We go on a hunt together on the last day. We do a small game hunt, either for squirrel or rabbit or quail or whatever species is available to hunt that time of year. But you'll actually go out into the field and do a hunt with us and everybody else in the group. And we can't, it's hunting. We can't promise you'll get something, but people often do, and regardless, it's an amazing experience. So far they have every time. Yeah. So we really hope you can join us on one of our retreats. We'd love to have you. We'd love for you to come to we welcome our home. We open our home. We have accommodations here. We have glamping tents and a camper and food and all organic meals. Everything. Let the chefs up. We could go on forever. It's really awesome. We'd love for you to come. Check our website. We'll put a link below. Check the schedule. If there's a date that you like, go ahead and sign up, because the spots go fast. It's a very small group. That's because we want everybody to actually do it, to actually have their hands-on experience. So you can sign up and we'll see you there. All right. Okay. wildmeatretreat.com. Awesome. And if you don't come to the retreat, or you're not ready yet, that's okay. Totally get it. The main purpose of this webinar was to give you those skills that you need to start hunting. So go ahead, write your checklist out and start knocking them off, and let us know. Send us an email and tell us how it's going, and let us know what questions you have. We create more videos like this all the time to help you on your journey. Yes. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining. All right. See you on the hunt.